Alright, howdy boyos. Welcome back to Conflict of Nations. Today we're going to be doing a little update video. It's only been about 6 to 7 days in my game, and so much has already happened. Also, I refer to it as my game. I guess it's our game, comrade. Anyway, I'm going to be doing small, certain highlight update videos throughout the session. Obviously, for me this will take weeks. For you this will just be one smooth video, but keep that in mind. But first, I'd like to remind you that you can get 1 month of the game's premium subscription Security Council and 13,000 gold premium currency for free if you sign up within 30 days of this video being posted with the link in the description. Let's go. So basically, I started as the UK, and which I'd said in my first video, and my goal is to sort of create the UK from the 1930s, 1940s, where we sit on an island, we don't really mess with Europe, we mess with our own stuff, as, you know, an island. So I've captured Ireland. I sort of annexed it. I said, hey, you know, Dublin looks very cool. Why don't you share that with us? Then I start looking more towards the north. I captured Iceland, which gives me a little bit of a northern base where I eventually, when I have enough resources, can start creating just a buttload of ships far away from anyone to see, which I think is always good because it kind of allows you to create sort of a secret reinforcement navy. Imagine someone wants to fight me here in the channel and I come around with a fleet of like 15 ships extra that they didn't see. Could kind of create some interesting surprises. Then I also got this huge piece of land in Greenland. With the same with Nuke, I eventually might look into annexing this and starting to create my own units there as well. Now what is very cool is I asked my ally here, the US, I should probably mention that I am allies with the US, Mexico, Norway, and Serbia. Kind of random, kind of just happened that way. As you can see, they're actually doing pretty good. Norway owns Scandinavia. Serbia has definitely grown outside of Serbia, owning parts of Romania, actually getting close to Italy here. Mexico has been going south into mid-America and Cuba here, and the US has captured Puerto Rico. The cool thing I wanted to say was that I've asked the US to create an airfield right here in Quebec, which he captured, and now I can send certain units, not all of them, but I can send most units, especially infantry, for example. I can send them across the ocean by going to the airports that I've built in Reykjavik, one in Nuke, and there's one in Quebec. As you can see, I can fly via Nuke to Quebec. This will take, let's see how long it takes. Actually, I'm not really sure. I haven't tested this yet. Okay, so it would take a 12 hours worth of traveling. Now, I have some self-propelled anti-aircraft guns. They do not yet have the ability to fly on a plane. It's an unlock I can do later on. For them to get to Quebec, I think it's going to be... Did you see that? It's at 1 day and 6 hours. So we've cut the travel time in more than half by building these airports, which also allows us to get reinforcements. So, for example, if we're having a big war going on, the US can now send reinforcements via Greenland, via the UK, to either Norway or Serbia. Kind of crazy and risky because they could technically be intercepted if I were to fly units, for example, from here to a Serbian airport. They could technically be intercepted, I think, but it makes it very interesting, and it's nice to have that sort of shortcut on your travel time. Germany and France started an immediate war. I think they are at war again. As you can see, the borders of Europe have really shifted. Italy has ceased to exist in its sort of Spanish, French, and German territory now. Austria has actually been annexing quite a bit in Europe. They captured some parts of the Czech Republic, some parts of Switzerland, and they're here sort of as a buffer between Serbia and Germany. Russia has totally collapsed. They were very warmongery at the start and were all the way here, going into Finland actually, but now they've been pushed back quite far. I think it's beyond Moscow by far. Yeah, actually, well, they're way beyond Moscow. My apologies. They're super far away beyond Moscow. Now it's being shared by the Ukraine and Belarus, who are all over this part of Russia. Little interesting thing to mention, Algeria had attacked and captured my port of Gibraltar, which actually kind of annoyed me because I really wanted to use that as a staging point to kind of control the Mediterranean. So what I did, I messaged Libya and I said, hey, friend, do you want to do me a favor and do you want to just kill off Algeria? And he's like, yeah, no worries. So between Morocco and Libya, Algeria had been totally annihilated. Now, sadly, Spain actually did take Gibraltar. I'm hoping I can get it back at some point. But yeah, you cannot have everything, I guess. With that being said, that concludes our little update session. We'll be right back here in the next one, right up for you. All these lines going in and out. Basically, I turned Glasgow into a hospital. And what that means is you can build hospitals in any large city. And a hospital basically allows your guys to heal faster over time. So instead of units is healing normally, a hospital allows them to heal at an increased rate. As you can see here, level 5 gives them 5 health points extra every 24 hours. So what I've done is I put an airport, a harbor, and a level 5 hospital here in Glasgow, which means that any friendly unit, either my own or that of coalition members, can go here, sit there for a day or two, and heal fully up. Even units that are really low health, they can fly them over there. So I've basically been, as you can see here, there are damaged units flying to Glasgow just to get some health back. And I kind of thought that was kind of cool to have this sort of hub for a lot of friendly units. I guess like, we'll take a look here. We have this very damaged German unit. We have this damaged Norwegian unit. We have my own units that are patrolling there to make sure that nothing happens to it. That was kind of interesting. So a lot has happened. I guess we should start with Europe. So Mexico and the US were removed from the coalition for being inactive. I should also say I'm no longer a coalition manager, so I didn't really have much of a say in that. However, and then we picked up Germany and Ukraine, and as you can see, France is no more. Well, it is still on the map. The lands are there, but it's now mostly our territory. I think it's Germany's and Norwegian territory mostly. Ukraine and Serbia have grabbed large swaths of land to the east, and they are now, as you can see, in an sort of uncomfortable situation here on the Turkish-Greek border with just a lot of equipment from the Turks, the Iranians. There was even some Thai forces spotted over here. I believe they might still be going for some stuff more to our east. And then myself, I actually flew to Mexico and got his entire area. I'm now pushing into the final AI-controlled nation here in Central America, and then we will pretty much be bordering the South American groups. So we're talking about South America, and what I've noticed at South America is that usually a group of people forms an alliance or coalition, and they just swallow up the majority, if not everything, on this island. So here, I believe only Chile, Argentina, Bolivia, and Peru are left. And they've swallowed up the rest of this country. There might be like 1 or 2 more AI states. But again, it's just Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, and Chile that are left here that have basically divided the continent between them. Well, that was it for this weekly update. Next week, I hope to showcase some more progress of my own parts. I would love to start looking at maybe grabbing Canada or the US. So Africa is actually very interesting. The northern part of Africa is mainly controlled by Libya and Morocco, who are in a coalition with Spain. Now, down in the south, or more the middle of Africa, there is a whole different coalition who are kind of trying to fight off the last 1 or 2 areas they don't have under their control. But basically, this will put northern Africa versus central and southern Africa in probably a very large battle in case one of them wants some more territory. Oh man, I don't even know where to begin this particular part of the episode. But what I will say, it is 1 day after Canadian Thanksgiving, so happy Canadian Thanksgiving, though you'll probably receive this message way late. I still thought it was an interesting thing to say, so happy Thanksgiving to all the Canadians. We're going to go and see what has happened in the world in the last 7 to 8 days, and man, so much has happened. The coalition pushed all the way from Europe. We did have parts of Russia and Ukraine, but look at this. We have... and I say we because I'm trying to be glorious, right? I'm trying to be part of the glorious guys in the coalition. We have large parts of the Middle East, of Asia, and we're basically not very far. I mean, we're like, what, 2, 3, 4 provinces away from reaching the Pacific Ocean. So we basically stretch across the entire main continent now. I mean, there's not much left here. Granted, Japan and Korea, which is all owned by South Korea, who I'm at war with, by the way, for different reasons, are still in control of a large amount of cities. This is obviously a thing where they could still produce a lot of equipment and stuff. However, Seoul actually just got nuked by one of my coalition members not long ago. Other than that, Asia is still looking pretty strong. I believe the Philippines is still waging war somewhere in Africa to try and fight us eventually. Talking about Africa, the large coalition in the north, which was a coalition with France, Spain, Morocco, and Libya, has basically crumbled. And now Africa is one big, large coalition, minus these part of few green lands you can see here and there. Spain has miraculously survived. I'm not in any sort of mood to attack them at the moment, and I don't know about my coalition members, but I don't think so. So interestingly enough, they are still safe, but, you know, who knows for how long. Happened here that I wanted to mention. So New Zealand, out of nowhere, declared war on me about 6 or 7 days ago, basically right after I made the previous update video. So I messaged him in game and be like, hey, was that an error? And he's like, no, I'm at war with the coalition members. I'm going to declare war on you just because I can. I'm like, okay, you're on that side of the world. I'm the furthest one away from you basically across the planet. He's like, no, doesn't matter. Then he started threatening me with nukes. Now, the funny thing is that I have theater defense systems, which are basically anti-missile launchers. They're missiles that intercept missiles. So a nuclear missile submarine was spotted off my coast. We managed to destroy it, but right before we did, he managed to launch a nuke at London. Now, thank God, my missile defense systems were online and capable of defeating the missile, and I was so mad that I sent a single unit all the way with a plane to Saudi Arabia, and then they went on a little boat ride all the way down here to basically the bottom of the world map. And I had them go all the way around the bottom of the world map. Ukraine and then launched 2 nukes at New Zealand, one at Wellington, one at Auckland. I captured it with a single infantry unit. Right now I'm sort of annoyed by the fact that the rogue state, the guys I've talked about in the previous episodes, have popped up. So what I've done is I've built an airfield in Taranga, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, and I'm actually getting guys from Mexico to fly all the way across the ocean to Taranga to help me not only capture and sort of secure this area. I'd also like to get Christchurch, Dunedin. There's some more New Zealand possessions over here, like Suava, which is still worth 6 points. I'd like to take some of those back as sort of revenge for the fact that he really wanted to nuke me, and he actually did. And if I didn't have theater defense systems, his nuke would have most likely killed a bunch of my civilians, my military, a large part of my industrial center. Obviously, compared to New Zealand, Australia is pretty big. I'm not really sure if I really feel like going in there. It's kind of far away from my lands, and you get actually, I've never looked at the negative bonus you get over here. What's the negative? Okay, so only minus 16. It's actually not as bad. I mean, this is basically as far away as we can get from my HQ. I'd be lying if I wouldn't say that our coalition has actively been looking at war with Africa, and apparently accidentally has maybe started a war here and there. I believe there is actually some units invading southern France, which is now German territory at the moment. We have, what is this, about 8 or 9 units here from the Kenyans. Now, we do have my air support. We have Norwegian air support. We have German air support. And we have a bunch of German and Norwegian units on the ground, so we'll probably be fine. We still have more Norwegian helicopter units around here as well, so we will probably be fine. It's interesting that they are willing to try and get across. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what my coalition partners think if I were to capture Spain, mainly because I feel like I own Gibraltar, and I kind of want the rest of Spain too, just to make it look prettier, right? Because Europe looks kind of weird and dark right now. It's like that picture where you have North and South Korea, and South Korea is like all lit up and has all these lights, and then North Korea just has like 5 little blips, and it's probably like near Pyongyang. Anyway, I'm going off the map. I believe there isn't really much else to say. I mean, South America, not much has changed other than they managed to finally get rid of the last couple of countries that were in theirs, and I'm really interested to see if they are open or not to a sort of passive relationship with us, or if they want to invade, because they're going to be sitting on their island, kind of bored, not really doing anything for a little while, and I'm wondering if they are interested in at all looking to go north into Mexico here. With that being said, this concludes the update. We'll be back for another update very soon. Another update to the Conflict of Nations game, and honestly, a little spoiler if you know where to look. You can kind of see our team's progress here. Once we get to 5,920 victory points, and each little thing here is 1 victory point, and each city with the number next to it represents the victory points the city is worth. For example, Manchester 7. We are very close, I think, to reaching the ultimate goal, which is to get that number of victory points, and then we win the game. And you're like being like, wow, that's weird. How did you get so many victory points? Well, let me zoom out for a second. And Europe, besides Spain, is now totally under our control. We can scroll for a while, and yeah, the Atlantic Pact, the coalition that I'm in, controls the entirety of Russia, Korea, Japan, which I captured, China, Mongolia, India. I mean, there's too many countries to name here. We own the entirety of the Eurasian continent, like there is, other than Spain, which it's more because we're too kind of lazy to attack Spain because his points are barely worth it. I think he has like 70 points. I'll zoom out a little bit more. You can see that we have agreed to let some people live. I think mostly Morocco, because they were sort of helping us. So we let them live in sort of a response to helping us. We're pushing into Africa. I myself actually have a pretty large detachment right here, including an elite tank commander, and they are pushing down to South Africa, and I mean both the southern part of Africa and the country of South Africa. We're pushing in here to get, well, there is a bunch of cities to be taken. So here, interesting is this 12th Elite Tank Division called Stronk Tonk, which is what I named as tank commander. You can get different commanders. You can only get one of each, but you can get all of them, I guess, technically speaking. You can only get 1 infantry officer, 1 rotary officer, 1 naval officer, etc. And these are not only very strong units themselves, just to show here, they have a 10 attack rating, 12 defense rating, or 10 attack and 12, defense rating. For the tank commander, he also buffs certain units. In this case, he buffs tanks, armored fighting vehicles, and tank destroyers. And well, there is a bunch of tank destroyers with this guy. You're going to be running south into South Africa. Over here, like I said, we have the entire continent of Eurasia. We are, however, pushing into the Philippines area, Indonesia. It is going to be ours. It's just going to take a little while. Then Australia, we're not really messing with just yet, but you can already see that there is going to be some stuff moving into their large towns. Thailand has actually invaded Australia and just trying to make their like sort of second home here, hiding from us, but we'll get to him. And then a while back, New Zealand tried to nuke me. I wasn't too happy with that, obviously, so I stopped the nukes in midair with my missile launchers. A friendly player in my coalition nuked New Zealand, allowed me to land. It's very far away. It takes over a day to move troops all the way from the UK via Mexico to New Zealand. So I didn't have enough troops here, and I was also busy trying to take South Korea, North Korea, and Japan. So sadly enough, New Zealand was able to capture back some territory. However, I have about 8 units coming to New Zealand, so probably we'll be able to wipe him off this island, invade the other main island he has, and then just destroy all the production capacity that he may have left. I'm really afraid to mess with the US, so that might be a thing we do eventually. Though at the time, it's more worth to bother the Africans down here, make sure we get all their points. To clean up, there's a bunch of cities, especially in Eurasia, that are captured by the rogue state, who I explained in the first part of this video who they are and what they do. So I'm kind of actually sending some guys from Korea to start taking over these cities one by one by one. I mean, if we capture 10 of these, that's like 50 points extra, right? Hey, 50 points, 50 points. And we still need a bunch of points And interestingly enough, if we go to our coalitions, we can see there's only 4 left, and the Asians aren't doing so hot. They only have 4 provinces left. That's the Thai people. The New Zealanders aren't doing too hot. So it's just now the South Americans and a couple of the Africans that are left. And I don't think that if we even capture Spain, the entirety of Africa, and even Australia and Indonesia and the Philippines, I don't think we'll have enough points, and we might have to look to either capture parts of Canada and North America, or we might have to look towards the South American coalition. No, I'm a little bit afraid because we haven't actually really messed with them, and I'm not really looking forward to having a large war where we have to transport our stuff across the ocean. Obviously puts us at a disadvantage. I think that concludes this update video. It looks like we might have a final update video next week, depending on how fast we go. We're going to have to be crunching the numbers and see whether it's worth attacking South America or not. Though, however, obviously, once we control Africa, Europe, Asia, and Oceania, there won't be much left for us to do here. We don't need to keep our troops here or really worry. As long as our cities are secure and there's not going to be any rogue nation stuff, popping up, any rebellions, we can pour all of our units right into South America. It'll be an interesting sort of final attack. We have nuclear missiles on submarines. We have nuclear missiles on planes. It could be pretty brutal. We'll be back with you with another update in a little bit. We're back in Conflict of Nations Day 35. A little bit of an update again for you here. And it's sort of a spoiler, I guess. You can kind of see our progress on victory points. And as you can see, we're pretty close. We're like, 70-80% of the way there, if my math is very fast. We have conquered Spain, or almost done with it, and the entirety of Africa. We're just dealing with some small rebellions. Rogue State, the main rebellion faction who comes up all the time. There's still a few rebellions going on here in Asia. However, I have just sent some of my sort of second-rate troops to deal with them. As you can see, there's not a lot going on here, but there's a few rebels sort of rolling around and having a great time because there isn't a lot of our military here because, they're all off fighting in Africa. We're working towards getting Australia still. It's proving a little bit harder than we thought, mainly because Thailand fled. As you can see, we captured Thailand. Thailand then fled to Australia and now owns, a weird sort of diarrhea form inside of Australia. So we have to work towards getting that. Also, Rogue State has been popping up here as well and has quite a few territories around here. The major cities are all Rogue State. Now, the thing is, we still haven't really messed with America. We're doing recon right now. We're not able to invade necessarily. For obviously all of us in Europe, it's kind of a far trip down here. I actually just annexed Mexico City, which now allows me to get a little bit more of the resources there, which it did cost a lot of money to annex it in the first place. But now, after annexing it and making it part of, my domain, I can finally start producing units, which I actually am going to do right here. I forgot I needed to build some more infantry. So right now, it's trying to build up forces in Mexico. We're going to go north into the US and Canada. Also trying to make sure that Mexico is sort of a staging point for hopefully our coalition to later on drive right down the Panama Canal into South America. We are not going to need all of South America to win. Like I said, we own about 5,000 points. By the time that we are ready, we'll probably own about 5,200. When we have Australia and the Philippines, we'll probably be closer to 5,400. We'll still need about 500 more points to win. So if we go to the diplomacy tab, we can quickly take a look. There isn't many countries left in the world, but as you can see, we'd only need about 400 to 500. The Argentinian, Peruvian, and Chileans guys, they own about 700-800 points, so we don't even need everything. We're still going to need a large part of their lands to win the game. So a naval blockade is going to be our next step, where we are going to work. I'm getting my ships together. I have a bunch of frigates and destroyers. We are going to start putting them in sort of a large area outside, so we catch, because all the zones, as you can see, they all sort of intermingle in certain locations. So our goal is to get a large amount of naval forces in a circle around South America, first of all. This way, we will basically stop them from being able to leave, invade our lands or really do anything. We also have eyes on everything, so they can't send submarines with nuclear missiles on them. They can't really, leave their island. Then we just have to probe for some weak spots. Probably will need a bunch of UAVs, which Norway does have a ton of, which are awesome. We'll need some UAVs, some submarines. We'll need to do some spotting. And then we just need to find a single weak spot, D-Day style, push all of our guys in there, all of our tanks, all of our infantry, vehicles, you name it, and then hope that we manage to sneak in and form a bridgehead, maybe even turn a town, turn it into one of our towns so we can start building stuff there. But it'll be very interesting because obviously for them, they're going to go on a defensive. They've been there the entire game. They have not really left their island. So it's going to be a little bit scary for them, also for us, because there's a pretty big gamble on us actually getting in there, but we'll have to see. We'll need to make sure that we're covered for missile attacks, because let's be honest here, if the South American nations know that we're invading and they see, like, let's say over here near Fortaleza, they see a huge amount of troops, I wouldn't hesitate twice to nuke my own city if it meant taking down, a 40 or 50 stack army unit that's pushing in. So we'll need to make sure that we are not super bunched up. We do need to bunch up our anti-air defenses and our anti-missile defenses. It'll be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen. And honestly, I'm really excited because the naval invasion part of this is going to be cool. I hope it's going to work out and we're going to win. I'm actually working right now on getting some SAS, some special forces. They are very sneaky, very good units. I'm hoping, it'll take some time to research. It'll take about, take about 5-6 days for me to get all the way to the end. But then these guys have good infantry killing power, good tank killing power. They have a ton of statistics, which the most important ones here are that they're stealthy. So they can go in, kill, and leave, and they have no radar signature, which means that over here, you can see that radar is picking up certain units. We don't know what, but there is units being picked up in Moroccan cities, which, by the way, Morocco, we're leaving there. I guess we kind of said, hey, you're cool. We can use your stuff to go into Africa. We won't kill you. And he only has like 80 points, so it doesn't really matter in a greater scheme of things. But you can see here that the radar things are popping up. And you bet your ass that the South Americans have a lot of radar units set up, right, waiting for us to invade. With the SAS, we can kind of sneak through. Kind of excited for that. I guess this really leaves this update as we are preparing for a D-Day style invasion on South America. I'm really excited, and I can't wait to report what happens next week. When maybe it's done, though I kind of doubt it's going to be next week. But hey, you'll see it then. All right, the final part of the update videos is here. As you can see, victory screen, congratulations, you have won the game. Technically, it wasn't just me. Like I've already explained, I was part of a larger coalition. So not only myself, but also Germany, Norway, Serbia, Ukraine. Guys, congratulations on winning the game together with me, or maybe you could even say you guys sort of carried me into a victory. So basically what happened is we secured large parts of Australia, and we were working on the Philippines when basically all hell broke loose. I had some territory in North America, which is totally fine. I then started noticing South American forces landing in North America. So I started sending my troops to American cities to at least slow down the South Americans. That accidentally created a war, which then created a whole conflict here in the Caribbean. As you can see, some of the parts of the towns here are still not ours. They're from Peru, Chile, even Argentina was here. A large naval battle happened right here in the Gulf. I think, is this the Gulf of Mexico, or is the Gulf of Mexico over here? Anyway, it happened right here between the Caribbean and the northern part of South America. There were aircraft carriers, destroyers, cruisers, submarines. We had planes flying. Basically, I had my alarm set for multiple nights trying to, support what was happening. Eventually, with our naval supremacy and also air supremacy secured here in the region, I actually was the first one to send troops onto the South American continent. We managed to capture Panama City, built an airport, we repaired the harbor, and we just started pouring guys in. As you can see, we slowly moved from like Panama City down to the bottom right. Obviously, more naval forces started coming in, especially once we had a foothold. And then also, Norway started pouring in more south, actually from both the east and the west coast. So once we secured landing zones, especially Norway immediately landed right near Buenos Aires, the Argentinian capital, which basically immediately then was secured by us and, caused a lot of demoralization issues for the Argentinians specifically. We didn't land on the other coast too, and we just started pouring. At one point, I cannot tell you, this ocean, it was crazy to see all these green lines, which are planes flying from, location to location. It was like, if you open up a flight app, you can see the planes flying across the Atlantic at any given time. That's what this map looked like. I swear there was probably like 40 or 50 aircraft either flying to North America to areas I had here, flying to Mexico, or just flying straight into the fray. I think I probably sent like 60 units, 70 units via plane, just sort of D-Day style. We had a foothold, we wanted our guys in there, and we got in there. So we basically own the entire world outside of the US and Canada. I believe they went AFK at some point during the game, and then the AI starts taking over. And as you can see, America has quite a lot of units. If we can take a look right here, they have 93 units, which is actually quite a lot, considering that's more than some of my friendlies have. I believe Ukraine and Norway are going to have. So Norway has less units. Norway only has 67. And I checked earlier, I believe Serbia actually only has about 40. So taking on the USA would have been hard. So outside of not really capturing Canada or the USA and Morocco, because we had a sort of friendly alliance with the guy and he helped us secure Africa, so I guess we're just going to let him be. He was only worth like 80 points, I think. 94 points. And when you need 5,920, 80-something isn't really super important. Also down here, we were in the process of getting Australia, though it's rather large, and we didn't really have a large focus for it. And we were at one point, once the war started with the South Americans, we basically drug all of our guys from all over the world. Like, we had a bunch of guys around here. We had people invading the Philippines, basically, and we got everything out, starting to, fight the South Americans to make sure we could win, because it was kind of scary for a little bit. But as you can see, we didn't get any of the Filipino parts here. They were rather well dug in. As you can see, there was some large units on some islands, so you have a lot of naval stuff. It would have been annoying to deal with them just because you have to hop from island to island to island. Technically speaking, we could have probably used a large fleet of multiple, surface to or air, water to surface fleets. Using missiles or guns would have destroyed this for sure. It just would have taken some time. And outside of that, we basically own the entire world between us. Like, besides Morocco, besides, Canada, USA, and very small parts of South America. I mean, because the game ended, we can't continue anymore. Look, we got friendlies going all the way up a river. Like, this is crazy. I was actually kind of surprised by how seemingly unprepared they were for us to come in here. I'd like to thank again the devs for sponsoring this game. I had way too much fun just getting on here, waking up at 3 a.m., trying to, it's a whole different mindset when you play a game like this. You're playing it whether or not you're actually playing it, because stuff happens in the background. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's this weird feeling that I had when we won. I was like, man, it's like an actual relief in a good way. Like, there was so much time and energy that we spent on this, obviously, between everyone, especially in the coalition. We were all just like, man, good job, guys, awesome. Don't forget, if you click the link in the description and sign up, you get 1 month of their Premium Security Council subscription and also 13,000 gold, only available for the next 30 days with the link in the description. Again, thank you to the devs for sponsoring this video, and I'd love to see you guys in the next one. Cheers.